Well, in the past few years, I think the European Union has made great strides to bring our national migration to a European standard. The Pact on Migration and Asylum is actually a proof of what can be achieved with dialogue, with persistence, and also with a sort of pragmatism, I would say. And I assure you I will take the same open, persistent and, as I said, pragmatic approach to the implementation of the Pact. In fact, we are already off to a very good start, I would say. But there is, of course, one important area of migration policy which has not yet been fixed. That's the rules on the return of third country nationals who have no right to stay in the European Union. Right now, at the moment, we have the figures. 4 out of 5 people subject to a return decision do not actually leave the European Union, and frankly speaking, this is just not acceptable. Not acceptable for me, not acceptable, I think, for almost all people of the European Union. And it also, in a way, it also undermines our credibility as a European Union. It wastes the resources we have, the resources of our authorities also, and these resources should be devoting to those with a genuine right to stay within the European Union. And it also damages, in a way, the trust, people's trust in Europe's ability to manage the migration in an effective way. And worst of all, actually, it's the false message which is sent by that if you manage to get into the European Union, you will be able to stay, and that actually creates business opportunities for smugglers, for migrant smugglers, who exploit people and place their lives at risk. And therefore, I will today and in the next weeks to come, of course, ask you to take a significant step in completing migration reform for Europe to fix the problems and bring the returns system up to the same high standards as we have achieved under the Pact for Migration and Asylum. The rules we have today are simply not fit for the job, I would say. National systems, the national systems of returns are too fragmented. This creates enforcement gaps also, allowing people subject to return decisions in one member state to slip through the cracks and start with the whole process again in a country which is maybe next door, and that is also not acceptable. In a European Union with 27 member states, we need a common system for returns. One that makes clear that when someone is told to leave any member state under this system, they are being told to leave the entire European Union. That must be actually pretty obvious, and the entire European Union will have the tools needed to make that happen. And I'm therefore proposing to create a new European return order. When one member state issues a return decision, they will fill out a common standard form and share this through the common Schengen Information System database. There will be no more loopholes in that respect. And member states will be able to mutually recognize and also directly enforce orders issued by another member state without having to start another national procedure from scratch and all over again. Another problem we have right now is that the rights and obligations for returnees are not always clear. This creates confusion. It can also cause further procedural delays. And under the proposal I'm presenting today, this will change. We are codifying the rights people have when subject to process, subject to a return process, such as, of course, the right of information, the right to appeal, the right also to return counselling. That is also in this proposal. And the same high standards as under the Pact will also apply for the returnees. For example, the right to free legal assistance and representation for appeals, and as well as an independent monitoring mechanism in every member state to ensure forced returns are carried out in full respect, of course, of fundamental rights. But with rights, there are also obligations, on the other hand. And for the first time, these two will be codified at EU level. Returnees will have a legal obligation to cooperate with the authorities, for example, by remaining in the country, by providing authorities with the right information and other things like not destroying documents, for instance. And when those obligations are not complied with, there will be consequences. People who do not cooperate or who represent a flight risk can be detained pending their return. I think effective returns are also, and effective return rules are also a matter of our security within the European Union. People who pose a threat, a security threat, cannot be allowed to remain free on our streets with the potential to harm others. And our new rules on return will therefore set out a series of measures to protect against those security risks. To start with, we will clearly define exactly what security risks means actually, and then a security check will be carried out early in the return process. So when someone poses a threat, they will be detained and subject to a forced return procedure. When they do leave, they will be banned also from returning for up to 20 years. Because I think security is such a fundamental right, and to protect that, to protect security, we must be uncompromising. These problems, of course, all relate to the internal dimension we are talking about today, the internal dimension of our returns policy. Of course, that is only, I would say, one side of the coin. A return decision means nothing if it is not followed up with a successful procedure, with a readmission procedure, so that the third country actually takes back the person. The legislation I'm presenting today only addresses the internal dimension, of course, but in parallel it is also clear that we need to step up our efforts also for migration diplomacy, I would say, with third countries. We need to build strong partnerships to also address the root causes of migration, improve cooperation on readmission also, and also open up legal pathways. That is also something which is very important. We need also to work on security cooperation, to clamp down on smugglers and traffickers, and I will pursue this work relentlessly over the course of the next years, over the course of my mandate. But even on our side of the process, actually, there are things we need to do to smooth the path also for readmission. Every time a return order is issued, a request for readmission will have to follow automatically. That's also within the new proposal. Also by actually facilitating the transfer of data from the EU member state to the third country. And finally, we are setting out the legal framework also for member states to work with third countries on new ideas like return hubs. Such forms of cooperation will, of course, and I stress that as well, will only be possible with countries that respect human rights and also the principle of non-refoulement, and have there are safeguards there as well including a mechanism for monitoring its implementation and a blanket exclusion actually for unaccompanied minors and families with minors. So, dear honourable members, the new rules, I think, will make clear that when you are ordered to leave the European Union, you will leave the European Union, either forcibly or voluntarily, if the conditions allow. And the fact that this is not the case today is a threat, I would say, to our credibility also as a European Union, to our unity also, and also to the sustainability of our migration system altogether. And I look forward to engaging in a hopefully constructive way, and I'm sure it's going to be constructive, in constructive negotiations also with you in this House and with the Member States in the Council, of course, as well, to bring these rules into effect. I hope we can be fast as well. That is also something which is very important because we have no time to lose. If we want to regain the trust of the European Union citizens also in our migration policies, I think they need to see swift action, especially on returns and on migration in general. Thank you very much.